We have Andrew Teague with us, and Andrew's been walking 500 miles, they tell me. Andrew, what are you doing walking that distance?
Well, a lot of it's been a training process. I've walked a lot of it for training and a pre-walk, and then I've walked from Swansea to London, which is actually the 200 miles. So I've done that in the 4 days for a campaign against parental alienation, where children are set aside from the other parents, family court reform, where there's a bias against resident and non-resident parents. So we're hoping to bring as much awareness out there throughout the UK and throughout the globe on what is going on with parental alienation, the indoctrination, denigration, and all the things that's to do with stopping the children from having the other parents and the other families in their life.
Yeah, I mean, this is dads, isn't it? Dads against double standard. I mean, double standards. I mean, is this in our courts?
Yes, absolutely. There is a lot of double standards in that, all the way down the line. We work with, we're one of the very few groups that work with mothers, grandparents, all of them, to support them and help them through the times that they're going through. But yes, it is absolutely a lot of double standards in behind the family court doors here in the UK.
Well, there's been a lot of publicity about various things, and these courts are closed, aren't they? Press representation nil. People with issues that they'd like to bring up, you can't. Are they actually siding with people like social services?
That's the one of the agendas that's wrong with the family court is that the judges, in their own words, I would say, they do not know what goes on outside the family court doors, the other side, so they have to listen to them, the professionals that are not qualified in any of anything to do with parental alienation, the indoctrination, denigration, or brainwashing, whatever you want to call it. And so they only see the pathological enmeshment, and that's the picture that the perpetrating parent, that they use in the children to stop contact or to limit contact with the children from the other family. It's not just the mums and dads that don't get to see the children, it's also the whole family on that side as well.
Well, let's give an example here. Nobody wins, as we know, in divorce. But I mean, if one parent is going to influence a child and, hate comes into this against another parent, and it's usually the dad, is it?
It is normally. There's 82% of men that go through this through family courts, but we can't forget the minority as well. And unfortunately, the courts seem to, not the courts actually, it's the agencies involved seem to sway very, very quickly towards the resident parent, because that's where the child or children are, and that then they seem to, what I call the mushroom syndrome effect with the other parent, where they cast aside and ignored completely, even as far as if they've got something that they put forward, it's ignored, and it seems to be all one side, a very biased, very, very biased court system.
Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty. I mean, are lawyers part of the problem? Are payments made to agencies part of the problem?
Oh, I definitely believe so. I think you tend to find that the lawyers are just the extension of the perpetrators anyway, the ones that's using these children, and we're not going to take in, we're not going to go any further than this. If a court case lasts a lot longer than what it should, and there's more court cases involved, then the lawyers pick up a sum every time that they go through the courts. So there is a money aspect of it as far as the lawyers are concerned. As far as the agencies are concerned, I think there is more a standard where they think okay, if we work with this parent, we can deal with this and we can get out of this, and it's no longer our problem. Whereas the other parent then is just left in the wind, wondering when they're going to get contact, if they're going to get contact, and it's puts members in places where they don't want to be, and shouldn't be. Parents and even grandparents where they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now, one hates to mention the word suicide, but there's lots of bullying going on at schools, sexual bullying, and that could lead to suicides, although the numbers are difficult to prove. But I think there's an astonishing amount of suicides with fathers, isn't there? I mean, it's dreadful. Can you give us some stats?
This actually touches my heart. This does. We have lost a few members ourselves along the way, and we've also seen that there have been other parents that have taken their lives. This catastrophic amount of parents here through the UK, Canada, Australia, and America that have lost their lives through feeling that there's nothing else they can do to try and get the children back into their life. And it's absolutely shocking. And the system needs to change. It desperately needs to change, not just for the children who are brainwashed, and this cycle goes on and on and on, and it doesn't stop. That's why we've put in a report together to be put out publicly in the next couple of months, and that's why we are planning. This is a fundraiser to raise money for educational DVD for schools and contact centres, and possibly even judges, that they can see exactly what is going on. The professionals we have involved with this have been amazing, and especially with the DVD, educational DVD, who have put their time out. She has actually put her time out free, and stated she is doing it free for the children.
Yeah. Now, this syndrome is you want it recognised, and in other countries they've done this, haven't they?
Brazil and Mexico, it is actually against the law in there. I think it's not just to recognise it; it's to change it in the law behind family court doors, and make it against the law, so that the children have a much brighter, happier future without being used as weapons constantly. We are fully aware that, they may turn around, and this is where the double standards come in. The agencies may turn around and say, don't speak negatively about each other in front of the child, whereas obviously the parent that's not around the child isn't doing that anyway. Yet we have known from many, many cases over the last year that this is happening with the children, with the controlling parent. And we have to remember that parental alienation is a massive part of that, is control and using these children as weapons. And this is what the children are learning from the adults. It's not nurturing the children in the correct way that they should be nurtured through their life, to stop them feeling that this is okay for me to do.
It's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, how can you be a referee in this sort of thing?
I think that's the difficulty in the family court. Here in the UK, CAFCAS they're court appointed, but they get their information from social services. So if you have social services have not done their job adequately, they are sending inadequate information over to CASCAF to pick up on. So there's no impartial, and for me, having researched a lot about parental alienation and pathological enmeshment, triangulation, and a lot of things over the last couple of years, whereas before this, I was a mechanic that built, fixed cars and everything else. Now I'm trying to fix children's futures, which has been a totally massive step in a totally different direction for me.
Yeah, I can imagine, and we hinted earlier on that it's not just mums and dads here; it's grandmas and granddads. They can't see their grandchildren.
It's absolutely grandmothers, grandfathers, aunties, uncles, brothers and sisters. You know, it's so widespread. It's unbelievable, and as much as I hate to say this, you can understand how a parent that is mourning the life of their child that's still alive get to feel that way, like they just want to toss themselves off a bridge, or it's a part that really does touch my heart in many aspects of it. All of this.
I mean, they are scarred for life, of course. I mean, it's traumatic enough, a divorce, but when, as we mentioned before, this hate things comes in, and it can be as bad as that, can't it?
It's we've put a poll on here about some months ago where we asked people how they felt through going through the family court, and a lot of that is they feel bullied, they feel all the things that the government turn around and say, we don't like bullying, we don't like, they feel terrorized, they feel victimized, criminalized, bullied, all these things these people feel going through family courts.
Well, tell us finally what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to get some more blisters. You're going to try and get as close as you can to Downing Street. Tell us what goes on.
Well, tomorrow we're marching. The start point is in Sawley Road. It was where the old social services was, but they didn't tell anybody or inform anybody. But we'll be walking through some of the high-built areas of London tomorrow. Past Downing Street, Westminster, to bring as much awareness out there as we possibly can, because people still don't realise and don't know what is going on behind family court doors. And to me, that is criminal, what goes on behind the family court doors, to not only just the parents that's going through all of this, but the children as well, because there is nobody can turn around and say that they can work in the best interest of the children when they don't understand exactly what parental alienation, indoctrination and denigration is, where that child feels so worthless because they're afraid to say, I love you, Dad, or I love you, Mum, for fear of having repercussions from the other parent, or afraid of saying something to one or the other for fear of repercussions there.
Yeah. An absolute minefield, but, be encouraged that a lot of people are supporting you, and we do wish you well tomorrow, and to raise as much money as you possibly can to get this DVD made and the awareness to the world, basically.
Yeah, well, we have a GoFundMe on the group on Dads. It has, and we've been raising funds on the way through the walk as well. It is raising the money that we are hoping to get. Well, I think we're more or less there now anyway, for the educational DVD, and plough on with this and get it out there to schools and contact centres, and even with as much as we possibly can, even with judges as well.